Hi there, welcome to LSB Feasters radio channel where we keep great radio from the past alive. Today we're going to Miami and a radio legend, the one and only Neil Rogers. Neil Rogers was cantankerous, he was cranky, he complained about everything, and his listeners in Miami loved it. Neil was born in Rochester, New York, and his career began in Western New York, working at stations in Batavia and other markets like Canandaigua around Western New York. But in 1975, he moved to South Florida, taking a job at WJNO, but his career really took off the next year at WKAT in Miami. He became a sensation. In 78, he moved to WNWS Miami, and then eventually WINZ, before moving to WIOD in 1988, and later WQAM. Through the different formats and different stations, Neil Rogers remained popular for decades in South Florida. He retired from radio in 2009 when WQAM decided it wanted to go in a more sports-related direction, and they bought out his contract. And sadly, Neil passed on a year later in 2010. If you have never had a chance to hear the one and only Neil Rogers, this is going to be interesting. Check him out, Neil Rogers on 610 WIOD Miami.
Stench of cow manure hovers over this performance by the Dolphins.
Yeah. MONDAYSUCKS. You son of a bitch. Obnoxious, foul, and distasteful. The Dolphins are cursing, and man, it's disgraceful, 'cause Brian Cox and the rest of them are saying, suck my d***, lick my b***, shit on you, motherfucker. Words of love they toss in the microphone. The dump button just can't seem to be left alone, and all of this is because they like saying, suck my d***, lick my b***, shit on you, motherfucker. Oh, but they play football badly.
I didn't say that.
How did the Patriots kick their ass? Suck my d***. When will they make it to the Super Bowl? But with an attitude as bad as theirs. Say what? They're tossing our hopes down the stairs. Oh, man. Rude, obnoxious, foul, and distasteful. The Dolphins are cursing, and man, it's disgraceful, 'cause Brian Cox and the rest of them are saying, suck my d***, lick my balls, shit on you. Yes, they're saying, suck my d***, lick my balls, motherfucker. Oh, they're saying, suck my d***, lick my balls, shit on you. Suck my d***, lick my balls, shit on you, motherfucker. You son of a bitch.
Hey, happy Monday to you, 10:07 at WIOD. The natives are a little bit psychotic today. Not as psychotic as Brian Cox was yesterday, but to be expected, you know what I'm saying? Boy, these cigars are killing me. Any breath, any puff could be the last one. So how about those Dolphins, huh? How about that game yesterday? How about that turnout we had on Saturday? That was the good thing that happened over the weekend. Did we have a beautiful, a lovely and attractive and large and well-endowed turnout there on Saturday? We sure did, at the fountain shops. By the way, Melissa Ruggieri, you suckhole bitch. Can you believe that? This goes to show you that if you just finger them a little bit, that all of a sudden they try to hop back into line. This is the same bitch who a couple of months ago when the CDs first became available, wrote that very cryptic column about the fact, if you're into the WIOD crap, they got their CDs and cassettes. Of course, if you're not getting enough of it already with the shows and the tapes and yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, we found out that she was bedding down with a board op from Big 106, which is why every column on radio in the Sun Sentinel was about Big 106 and about Howard this and about David Ross is a great guy and never stole a freight train, etc. So you can imagine my shock when I pick up the Sun Sentinel on Saturday morning roll it out of its sleeve and the paper too, and look at this radio column by the same Melissa Ruggieri that's been bedding down with the morning guy there from Big 106's producer. And she says, best of Neil Rogers. If you can't decide what to stuff annoying Cousin Joe's Christmas stocking with, head to Borders Books and Music and pick up either of Neil Rogers' best of CDs or cassettes. These song parodies are truly hilarious, though a bit off color for the more staid listener. And the products are worth every cent of their $20 list price. The money benefits the AIDS Organization Center. One Neil and his merry 610 WIOD men, Phil Henry and Rick and Suds, will appear at the Fashion Mall in Plantation today from noon to 2. Well, listen, so we were at the Fountain Shops, not the Fashion Mall, and it was 1 to 3, not noon to 2. So she made sure to screw that up there at the end. God forbid that anybody extra should have shown up. Well, guess what? We had to stay an extra 20 minutes anyway. We didn't have time for nobody extra, bitch. But it's just the idea. It goes to show you that if you just bring these people out of the closet and bring them into the sunlight and shine the flashlight on them and show that they're full of crap, that they've got that they're doing somebody else's handiwork, which is the case in most of the media, that somebody is just smearing some friend of theirs ass or somebody that they're bedding down with or whatever the hell it is, or both. Nice going, Melissa, you stupid, idiotic bitch. And then here's a great column today, which goes to show you that if you write enough of them, sooner or later one is good. Tom Jicka, the Grinches at WFOR cast away an anchor. Attaboy, Tom. It's about somebody, at times somebody in this town gives credit to somebody who does a good job. The lovely, the talented, my close personal friend Barbara Sloan, who is one of the best and one of the sweetest people who's ever worked in this town. She gets screwed by the people there at Channel 4. And you know something? They made the big switch. They used to be Channel 6 with a crappy signal. And everybody said, well, their numbers are really in a crapper because nobody can see them. And so they switched with 4, and now it's WFOR. They're over on that big signal, and their numbers still suck. How about that? And they've lost one viewer in me, I'll tell you that. I'm watching even Channel 7 news once in a while when I'm in a really good mood or when I'm really depressed and I want a few laughs. I'm even watching Channel 7 news. Or Channel 6 or Channel 10 or CNN or anything. Or even the CBC News on a satellite as opposed to Channel FOR. We screw you over. So we can have those great newsmen. This little bimbo they're bringing in from Atlanta, wherever the hell she's coming from. Where's she coming from? From Denver. Like I said, even worse. So we got the beautiful Dave Game on there covering up the screen. We got Dr. Steve, who can't find his way out of the bush. And we got Camberell Marshall with those Martian lips. We've got a hell of a cast of characters over there on FOR. You can take your news. And then the last straw for me was not only they canned Barbara Sloan and screw her over, but Friday night or Thursday night on your sensitive 6 o'clock dinner hour newscast when they showed that Santeria guy with all the blood and the chickens and the goats, and they just kept showing it over and over again. In addition to which, they're very, very big on that puke cam. I don't see that too much on the other channels, but Channel 4, man, if you don't puke from watching Dave Game and Camberell Martian, you're going to puke, and Joe Zagacki. Now, how'd you like to watch Joe Zagacki in the middle of your lunch hour, huh? And you know, what am I going to do about this? I guess during the break, remind me to switch that over, because Rick was so enthralled with somebody bailing him out of that 9 to 10 hour again. So thanks, Tom Jicka, for writing it like it is about the great Barbara Sloan. She'll be all right. She'll be way the hell ahead of the game getting out of a toilet like that, I'll guarantee you that. Our Center 1 total is way over 80 grand. I have no idea what it is because another little Miss Muffet, she hasn't shown her lovely puss in here yet this morning, so we don't know what the hell we did on Saturday. We don't know much of anything because it's the holidays now, and from now to the end of the year, it's going to be a lot of parties, a lot of busman's holidays, and that's why we're giving away a bunch of adult videos here this morning. Because I'll tell you one thing, after that thing we went through with the CDs last week, I will never, ever buy another show giving away a bunch of stuff, except today I'll make an exception. And I think we got some hockey tickets coming on Wednesday. Rimmer's coming in, and Don Cherry's going to be on Wednesday, I think. I hope. And then we'll probably give away a bunch of hockey. Well, it's the holidays. Isn't this the time to give away a bunch of crap to everybody? Isn't this the time to, like, open up your big puss and say, hey, I love you, even if I don't really...
Hi, this is Maury Povich wishing you a happy Hanukkah.
Okay, don't forget our Vegas trip. I'll give you those numbers in a minute. We got to get a whole bunch of people signed up for that by the end of the month, which means we got about 2 weeks. And we got to have 50 people signed, sealed, and delivered. And by the way, speaking of that, Stevie Wonder will be flying the plane. 10:13 at WIOD. 10:19 at WIOD. So here we got a manifestly irresponsible, out-of-control asshole named Brian Cox, who has the big play of the game on his shoulders. This isn't an imaginary play, an imaginary tackle that he allegedly made against Atlanta 2 weeks ago that they kept talking about all day yesterday, which he did not make that play, and Tim Bowens did. It's just like when, I've told you this before, Van Patrick, who used to do the Lions games for 100 years, was such a big fan, such an ass-kisser of Joe Schmidt, that even when Schmidt was on a bench, and there'd be a big tackle in the game, and Joe Schmidt makes another great tackle to save the game for the Lions, and he'd be on the bench. So it's another phantom tackle that Brian Cox made 2 weeks ago. But even assuming he made that one, yesterday, Thurman Thomas ran through him, over him, under him, around him, and up his ass. To quote Harry Neal. Up his ass. Throughout the entire game, rushed for nearly 200 yards, single-handedly defeated the Dolphins, running over, under his legs, and then, of course, the game-saving play, potentially, which might have given the Dolphins the ball back and a chance to tie it up or win it. And here's Thurman Thomas, and Cox is the man to make the tackle. There he is, right into his arms. Cox seems to have him stopped, and as there he goes. He squirts out of his hands, dives for the extra yard and a half or 2 yards, makes the first down. And now comes the emotional, out-of-control outburst. One more time for the East Coast.
Suck my dick.
There we go. Punching and yelling, and of course the guy there on the Bills, he knows how to punch his buttons. I mean, it's easy. Is it hard to punch Brian Cox's buttons? It's the easiest thing going. And I want you to keep in mind, here's a guy that's suing everybody in the world. He's suing Rich Stadium, he's suing the NFL, he's suing Phil Henry, he's suing God, he's suing everybody. Because it's everybody else's fault that he looks like a buffoon and a jackass to his kids and everybody else's kids and grown-ups and people that we haven't determined what origin they're of. And that's the problem. It's always somebody else's fault that Brian Cox looks like a raving lunatic and asshole.
Suck my dick.
And so there he is, waltzing off the field. This is the same Tundra where he gave him the big finger, the big one-finger salute, which at the time we all thought was amusing, right? That's pretty funny. But now when you put it in context of his ongoing overall behavior, you realize this is a frightening guy. Frightening. Pathetic. Who doesn't contribute when he's really called on to make the big play in spite of what the media says. And here's another example of why many of us have been saying all along, Shula has lost control of these guys. He never would have had an Irving Spikes on a team or a Brian Cox 10, 15 years ago. And I don't care how well Irving Spikes returned kickoffs yesterday. There's another disgrace. What the hell is he doing on that team? Dave Hyde, by the way, nice going again, Dave, right on target. Cox, a spitting image of a team in trouble. Yeah, he is full of spit. You're right, Rick. He's full of spit. Unbelievable. Spitting. I wish he would have frozen right there in the middle of the frigid air in Buffalo and done a back at you right in his ugly puss. Spitting and spitting and spitting and gesticulating and flailing and carrying on like another goofball out of control. So the kids really respect you, Brian. It's only Phil Henry. He's responsible. That's why nobody respects you, because anybody who would see your beautiful behavior on the field, see you making those big plays, they'd have immediate respect for what a genius you are. Suing the NFL because he's being discriminated against because he's black. There's racism involved there, even though, what would you say, 60, 70% of the players in the NFL are black? At least 60%. And how about those Cowboys wriggling off the hook? Oh, yeah! Oh, my God, was I praying. It was too good to be true. Losing to a girls' team like the Giants to lose 3 in a row as Barry Swisher standing there on the sidelines looking like, what's going on out there? I'm surprised when they got down ready to kick the field goal there at the end of the game that he didn't punt. I mean, this man is an accident waiting to happen. And Dion, with his $35 million, he's biting the big one. Got a nice defensive holding penalty there in the first half. That's about all I remember him doing all day long. $35 million. Another hot dog. Another asshole. I'm starting to sound like Chris Collinsworth. A little on the raspy side. These cigars are killing us. Did you hear that show again, by the way? He had on Wayne Fonts. Wayne Fonts of the Lions, who wins every day like 144-0 or something like that, talking about sticking a cigar up his ass. It was great. A lot of good comments about that show, too, at our appearance. 1024 at WIOD.
News, Talk, and Entertainment Radio. 610 WIOD.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Oh, I'm sorry, 10:28 at WIOD. So they lost the game. Life goes on. They still got a shot at the playoffs, grim and slim as it may be. So let's give away these 10 adult videos. What do you say, huh? Let's play Santa Claus. I'm telling you, don't smoke this. All you kids out there, as Don Cherry would say, all you kids out there, and speaking of Don Cherry, who will be on Wednesday with Rimmer. We got to have Rimmer in because it's an excuse for him to do something. That we're having Don Cherry on, who's the real star of that show. So anyway, how about those Panthers again kicking the Tampa Bay Lightning, as stupid as they are. Boy, they got a crappy team. They look pretty good, but they can't play. They're always opening up a big mouth, like when Phil Esposito said that we were a bunch of pussies or something like that the first year when we beat them almost every game. And so now they said Saturday night's game was going to be the biggest game in the history of their franchise. And we go in there and kick their ass 7-2. Oh! By the way, congratulations to Barry Jackson for being the one other honest person in this town who says that Chris Moore is the worst local play-by-play announcer for any sport in the history of the human race. Right on, baby. Even though you are fat and you know nothing. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
Neil, I just wanted to say, I was listening to Jim Manage. I wasn't able to watch the game, but I was in the car driving with my Lansing kids. This guy is totally off the wall. I have never heard a more ridiculous announcing style than his. I mean, impartial. You can be impartial in your own little way. This guy is, somebody coming in from out of town to listen to this guy doing a Dolphin game would be out of their mind. This guy is totally ridiculous.
Or they might get lost in overtime and get shot.
I've never heard anything like it before, that this guy can get on the radio and do what he does. I mean, it's just, the guy should just be on the sidelines coaching or something. I mean, what's he doing announcing the game?
That might be an idea. Mandate for new coach.
Yeah, that's totally ridiculous.
I bet he'd go for it. Hey! Yep.
It's just totally ridiculous. I just never heard anything more ridiculous in my entire life.
Bush League, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Suction.
Take care now.
Lots of suction, okay. Heavy-duty suction coming from that broadcast booth.
Not that you have to suck.
But I guess it feels good. So anyway, here's the names of the... I can't give you the names of all these videos, huh? Well, there's one I can't read you. Finger food. Here comes lunch.
Squirt, squirt.
Butt nuggets. These are from Mitch at Video Ace, by the way, right? I hope. Well, I mean, I don't hope, but I'm sure that they must be. Right? Aren't they? They're from Mitch at Video Waves,
yes,
right?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, I'm not 100%. I'm 99% sure. But he's the last guy I want to give credit for something if it isn't him. Jesus. Butt nuggets. Me so horny. Oh, that must be that the new one that CNN put out. That's the Larry King story.
Me so horny.
That's the one. Other people's posse, gusher girls, ass pounders, roto rammer, and catfight. We got 10 lovely adult videos there because it's the holidays, and what better thing to do on Hanukkah than sit around and watch Peter North, right? Or somebody like that. And, of course, this was the big topic of conversation here all morning. I'm trying to get a little bit organized, figure out what the hell's going on here. And Adam and George are having, like, fist fights, trying to, take a grab and see what the hell is, which is on which box. So which one was the best box? Here's Fort Lauderdale on the purple line. Hello. Gone? You lose. Too bad you lose. Whatever it was you wanted, whatever you wanted to say, whatever you wanted for free, whatever your life was all about, you lose, okay? How do you like that? By the way, our Center 1 total is zooming up there very nicely. Like I said, we had a great, not a good, but a great turnout on Saturday in spite of Melissa Rogerian and misinformation. Seriously, somebody is going to take care of that bitch. I'm telling you, you just feel it. You can almost smell it. With this, look at that. That is a beautiful thing. We must have had a humongous day there, huh? We did 5,000 there? All right, sports fans. How do you like that? 85,499. And I want to tell you something about that crowd we had out there on Saturday. A living and breathing crowd. There were some really, and the Knots Landing lady was there. She was very shy and very embarrassed. What is she embarrassed about? She looks great. She's lost over 70 pounds on the Atkins diet. She looks sensational, like a different person. She looks phenomenal. And we had some other people there who looked, to be honest with you, pretty phenomenal. It was just a living and breathing crowd. That was, like I said, sensational. So anyway, and then the guy with the eyes had to show up. Here's Mobile in Jupiter. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say what a piece of garbage Brian Cox is.
Yeah?
Yes.
And it was good to see Bo Camper stand up and tell them what a piece of garbage
I didn't hear Bo Camper. What was he saying?
Well, on Sports Wrap, obviously, last night,
Oh, we lost. Damn it. Here's one guy that's going to give us some good information and his mobile craps out. Damn it. Somebody else will tell me, because I didn't hear any of that. We have an open line in Broward, 524-9463, 524-WIOD, because I got to get all those Mike Lang calls, even though Pittsburgh lost last night. By the way, the Leafs won 3-2 in overtime. Oh! I just thought I'd mention that. They like hot as a pistol, baby, my Leafs. But that was a hell of a game, the Penguins and the Flyers. And, of course, so I got 5 Penguin goals on there for Wednesday to piss Rimmer off. So I didn't have an opportunity to listen to Bo Camper and all these other mavens on here, but it would be real interesting to find out if we had, because I told Bo Camper in the hall that day, especially when I saw how big and scary he is, I said, you're the one guy on our sports staff that's got some balls and tells it like it is, and that isn't afraid, isn't kowtowing to Shula and that whole Dolphin organization. You got to admit it was a hell of a game. Buffalo gave them a Christmas and a Hanukkah gift. They gave them 10 points right off the bat. They had done nothing, Miami, the whole first half, offensively or defensively, nothing. Buffalo comes out. They said, okay, we feel sorry for you. We know you came all the way up here to this cold weather. We're going to get a bad head cold, whatever. We'll give you something. Here's 10 points. We'll let you back in the game. So it turned out to be a hell of a game. And Marino, I don't care what anybody says, and I do mean anybody, here's the one guy on that team that's got balls. He dislocates his finger. He gets it caught in the guy's helmet, luckily on the left hand. He misses one play in which Bernie Kosar comes in and throws a little girly pass, that wobbling duck that's still, I think it's still wobbling over the skies of Buffalo somewhere. It's probably over Hamburg, right over Buffalo Raceway as we speak, and will probably land somewhere between Fredonia and Depew, because you could smell it a long ways away. Even a little girl could have thrown a better looking pass. It's like wobbling end over end like a kickoff. Bernie, I tell you, sweetheart, you have just got to butch up a little bit. And then Marino comes out with that left hand taped up. He's got the dislocated finger. He comes out in the second half, drives him down the field after those turnovers. They get the field goal. They get the touchdown. After Buffalo takes the lead, he drives him in there for another score. And the only thing that the fickle fans in this town will remember is he threw one really smelly bad pass there that got intercepted and set up the game-winning field goal. They won't remember that it was Brian Cox who let Thurman Thomas slip away with like a minute and a half or 2 minutes left in the game that would have given Danny Boy a chance to drive him right down the field again. And you have the feeling if he's got the ball and McDuffie's catching it like he was, they'll probably go down there and, do it again. No, they won't remember that because they're fickle, baby. Like I said, 3 weeks ago, this town was ready to get a lynch mob together to fry Shula's ass, to go out there and hang him in the goddamn Everglades. Now they won a couple of games and, Super Bowl, he's okay. And they lose to the Bills yesterday in the game of the century. Like they do every December. But they've never beaten Buffalo in December. Ever. In the history of the two franchises, they have never, ever beaten Buffalo in December. Ever. Does the word choke start coming to mind? And now, of course, they're right back on the bandwagon. They're getting the rope and the saw and the hacksaw out there again. They want to take them back out in the woods, to the woodshed. 10:37 at WIOD. Did you know you can buy a Dolphins football helmet for only $9.99? And after yesterday, why not? It's true. It even has the official logo of the Dolphins right on it. And what's more, it's the most delicious football helmet you've ever popped in your puss. You see, this football helmet is the newest ice cream cake from Carvel. It's shaped like a helmet, decorated with the Dolphins logo, and handmade of rich, delicious ice cream, as in Rich Stadium. Your participating Carvel Ice Cream Bakery or favorite supermarket has them for only $9.99. And with proof of purchase, you can send in for a free Spiral football. So look for the Carvel football helmet cakes at your participating Carvel Ice Cream Bakery or your favorite supermarket. They're only $9.99, so you can buy a whole bunch of them for the holidays. And don't forget, when you do buy them, to send in for that free Spiral football. The Carvel football helmet, it's waiting for you. It's waiting on you. It's waiting in you right now at your Carvel Ice Cream Bakery, because Carvel believes everything should be made of ice cream, even Dolphin football helmets, and maybe even a little bit of that spittle we saw in Buffalo yesterday.
The opinions expressed by the host, guests, or callers on WIOD are not necessarily those of the station or its sponsors. All WIOD programs are copyright 1995 by WIOD Incorporated. No tape recordings or transcripts may be created or distributed without prior written consent of WIOD Incorporated.
Buffalo still sucks.
Oh! In 1971, we bid a tearful goodbye to the Doors. Well, they're back in the 90s as the Windows.
Windows 95. Bill Gates' computer hype. My computer just went down and I can't mess around with Windows 95.
The Windows. Their music isn't exactly poetry to the ears of computer users around the world.
Yeah, it glitches badly. Oh, how mad it made me. Hey, come on, Bill Gates. This software's second rate.
The Windows will bring hard rock to your hard drive.
How do I run you without more memory? The ads mislead me, I should get it for free.
The Windows and the Windows 95 Tour. Feel free to crash and spend a lot of time with us.
1041 at WIOD. That Center One total's looking really good. $85,499. You can order your best of CDs and cassettes and the T-shirts too by calling Center One right now at 561-0078. Or you can pop into your Borders, Books, Music, and Cafe stores. And now they're like all over the place. There's probably like one. You look out the window, there's one right there. They're in Coral Springs, they're in Aventura, they're in Kendall, they're in Boca, Fort Lauderdale, and now in Coconut Grove in Mayfair. And they got our stuff in there. And our next appearance is going to be on, Saturday, December 30th, noon to 2 at the Borders in Coral Springs, taking our lives in our hands, facing all of those gangs up there in Coral Springs. That's from noon to 2, Thursday, December 30th. Here's Roberto. Buenos dias.
Mr. Rogers, how are you?
Okay.
Listen, I'm glad to hear you had a nice turnout at the mall.
We had a great turnout. It was a beautiful crowd.
And a beautiful crowd, too.
And most of them were under the age of 100.
When I went to the fashion center, there was this woman talking with Rick Riley. She looked like she had a fight with a Brinks truck and lost. I'll tell you, the ugly crowd over there.
Well, that's Rick's crowd. No, actually, you're right. We did have I remember making that comment. We had a big crowd at the fashion mall, but very ugly.
Yeah, I know, right? And unfortunately, I was in the crowd. Listen, let me tell you, I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah. With us?
Yes.
Are you serial?
Yeah, I'm serial.
All right.
I'm serial port. I had to ask you something. If you guys don't make the quota of 50 before December 31st,
right?
Are you guys gonna get refunds? Or are you gonna cancel the trip?
It's gonna happen. Don't worry about it.
Okay, great. So
I just had to stick everybody with a pin up their ass because it was starting off real slow, which partly because I didn't have all the information. That makes a difference. And number two, because people are nervous after the last 2 years.
Right.
Bob Lincoln may have scared a few hundred people away. I don't want to suggest that he did, but he might just have scared a few thousand people away.
Okay, listen, I've been to casinos before, but it was just that white trash settled, where you go on a cruise and stuff like that.
Oh, forget that. Forget that.
Never mind. On top of it,
once you walk into the MGM Grand, you'll think that you've been missing your life. Every day that you've been breathing, you've been missing life.
I'll tell you.
Once Cheryl takes a look at the boxes on these videos, she's also going to know she's been missing it.
Oh, the videos. Well, I'm not calling for the videos.
Thank God. She just looked at the first one and said, oh, my God.
Listen, I've been to Europe. I've been all over the place, but I've never been to a casino.
Oh, my God.
So,
yeah.
Let me ask you,
wait a minute. Why are you propped up against the wall over there with that box? Which one is it? Here comes lunch. Yeah. Well, there's lunch, breakfast, and dinner. What's wrong with that? More than you ever saw, sweetheart, with that Jewish judge. And the other one. But anyway, what were you saying, Roberto? Sorry.
One last thing. How's the dress code? I mean,
You can dress like sloppy. You can be fancy. The sloppier, the better.
Okay, great.
There's no dress code. Even in I would say there might be maybe a couple of restaurants in Vegas where you want to wear a sport jacket, but I don't think you're going to be in there. But Jen, even in that real expensive one, what's the name of that place, George? The restaurant with the lobster down there. Oh, damn it. With the big lobster on the sign where we ate. You wouldn't know. It's above your price range, sure. But even in a place like that, you don't have to go in. You can go in very casual.
Okay, that's
They just
great.
want your money.
Well, I want to call Rocky today. Now, is this open until what time? Because I get out of work a little late.
Well, why can't you call her now?
Well, because I'm on an illegal break on the phone. You know how it is up there with.
So you can't take like 2 minutes to call her during the day?
Yeah, I could do it. I mean, it's 2:30 too late.
No, of course not.
Okay, well, great. So I'll get in touch with her today.
Great.
Or is it him?
Her.
Okay.
Well, you won't know the difference. See you later.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Adios.
Bye.
We have an open line in Dade, 751-9463, 751-WIOD. Every time we have these adult videos in here, which I think are relatively tame, to be honest with you, Cheryl comes in here and has to funnel the boxes. Boy, that one, she was squeezing that box so tight, I thought we were going to have an accident. But my favorite is that Larry King one, the Larry King story, Me So Horny. That's my favorite. Here's Port St. Lucie. Hello.
Brian, the foul-tempered dolphin, really hates IOD. And if you'd like to taunt him, he'll sue you just like Phil Hendry.
Suck my dick.
All of the other dolphins used to laugh and have some fun.
Yeah.
They always followed Master Brian, and now look where their season's gone.
Yes!
Then one Sunday afternoon, the brainstem woke from his nap.
Oi!
He claimed Brian Cox lost his temper too fast, 'cause Phil Hendry made him look like an ass.
But the...
Soon Wayne will bring in Jimmy, 'cause Shula's been living in the past.
Suck my dick.
And Brian will have to cut the crap then, or Jimmy will just trade his ass.
We need some help.
Jimmy will trade his ass, and
Yes.
the rest of them too.
Okay, see, that's Greg from Boynton Beach. If he just calls like once every 4 years with something like that, we love him. We have an open line, and of course he said, don't be giving no stuff away on the air, or else I'll call in and sing something. Open line on the green line there, 1-800-944-9463. We got these adult videos here, which I'm going to milk. Not that I'm, buying calls, giving stuff away. Not after that traumatic game yesterday. See, the audience, they're back. The whole town is right back on the bandwagon again. Let's have the lynch mob for the brainstem.
We need some help.
Exactly. Who the hell is this man kidding anyway, okay? Talk about life is passing them by. What the hell have they won like in the last 23 years? Once in a great, great while, on the rarest of occasion, they might win the division. Might. Rarely. But hey, when it comes down to the big games, I remember that AFC Championship game 3 years ago when we had that really good season and Buffalo came in here and hopes were high, and that was the year we were going to the Super Bowl, and this team pulled it up like a goddamn accordion. It was pathetic. Talk about not even showing up. Not that we want to put a lot of pressure on Don. It's just time for the Don. Like they said, the Don is slipping. With all due respect, the Don is slipping. And Marv Levy outcoaches this man game after game after game, year after year, especially the more significance there is in the outcome of the game, the more Marv Levy outcoaches him. And if you read Dave Hyde's column, they were astonished. They were shocked. Like they ran the end around play 685 times yesterday with Steve Tasker, and you would have thought that after the first 650 times they would have seen it coming. Nope. And he talks about that in here, saying that the Bills coaching staff was just shocked. The entire team was shocked that they just kept running the same plays over and over again, and nobody adjusted to it. Even the great Jeff Cross said some of the simple lead plays to Thomas, they just kept running them. We just mustn't be good enough to win, says the great Jeff Cross. How do you like that? We just must not be good enough to win. And the most amazing part of it is, first of all, Carolina, you do realize the story of the century in sports, they're probably going to wind up 500. If they win next week, they could be the first 500 expansion team, certainly in the history of the NFL. It's unheard of. And when you stop and think about it, that even if Miami wins next week against the pathetic St. Louis Rams, which they probably will, they should, they might, that they wind up 9-7. Carolina, which is a girls' team with that little punky kid, that quarterback from Penn State, they're going to wind up possibly 8-8, which is only one game off of that. Just stop and chaw that around a little bit and then spit it out. 10:49 at WIOD. Listen, Brian was just listening to, what's her name, Dr. Marion. Remember Dr. Marion Grabowski, the sex bitch from U of M years ago? When in doubt, spit it out. She always said it.
Covering the news of South Florida, a daunting task for some radio stations. But they don't have the people we do at 610 WIOD News. Doesn't matter where the story is. Doesn't matter what time it happens. We'll be there. The best news, 24 hours a day, every day. News, talk, and entertainment radio. 610 WIOD.
Holy cow, Aaron's coming.
If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake.
Tonight on A Current Affair, shocking videos of the Brady Bunch's all-night Wasson-Oil orgies.
How about you, Cindy? Are you ready for it? Yeah.
Plus, never-before-seen episodes too racy for network television.
Mom, I'm coming I'm coming. Oh, congratulations, honey. Why don't you go tell Alice the news? She's in her room.
That's tonight on A Current Affair.
10:52 at WIOD. That center one total just keeps zooming up there, baby. It's incredible. 86,739. You see, when you kick these bastards in the ass a little bit, plus the fact that it's like right in the middle of Hanukkah now, Christmas is only like 7 days away, a week from today. We're going to have some really great programming for you next week, aren't we? I think like dead air. Did we sign off overnight last night, by the way? I think we were off the air last night for like technical maintenance. What is this I'm seeing on Latin MTV right now? Man, oh man. Father and son, said and done. Boyzone? Boyzone what? Here's Boynton Beach. Hello. Boynton Beach is gone? All right, that's a good move. Open line on the green line, 1-800-944. Here's a mobile in Orlando. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, sir.
I wanted to talk to you about another gutless wonder. Dan Reeves. How does the coach of the New York Giants, a team that's going nowhere, a coach that's going nowhere,
right?
They've got 4 minutes to go in a game against the division leaders,
and they kick a field goal.
And they punt. They punted with 4 minutes to go to give Dallas back the ball with plenty of time.
Well, wait a minute. I saw the last half of that game, or last 3 quarters of that game. Where are we talking about?
At the very
well, where were they? Where was the ball?
It was they had the ball somewhere between the 30 and 35, their own 30-35 yard line.
And it was 4th and what?
Right, and they punted the ball.
But it was 4th and what? How far did they have to? On their own 30 to 35, and you want them to go for it when they got a 2-point lead?
Again,
they had a 2-point lead.
I know, but the team's going, look, they've got nothing to lose. They've got nothing to lose.
I understand that, but the point is, listen, the kid for Dallas, the field goal kicker, Banyul, has made like 700 kicks in a row.
Right, he made 4 of that game already.
But the point is, so if you give him the ball on your own, if you don't make it and you give him the ball on your own 35-yard line, that's already only a 52-yard field goal if they don't make anything at all. You're not going to do that.
Here's the deal at that point. Dallas had been driving the ball all day, but they had not gotten into the end zone. So you back
them up in their own territory. That's the point.
Yeah,
you back them up as far as, sir, you know nothing about football. You're a bozo. You're an idiot. You're a clown. That's the dumbest. This guy, call up Barry Switzer and get him in touch with this guy, will you? That is the dumbest call. I mean, I know that most of the people down here are totally unknowledgeable about any sport, but that could be the dumbest call I've ever had in my life from a guy. It sounds like his IQ's bigger than his penis, but maybe not. Well, if it's 3, I mean, that's just amazing. They should have gone for it on their own 30 or 35-yard line with 4 minutes left in the game, and they got a 2-point lead. What is this man talking about? What kind of caca are we talking here, baby? Here's North Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Morning.
Did you like that call?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a knowledgeable guy?
Yeah, right out of the
He wants him to pull a Barry Swisher, this guy. Yeah, right. But anyway.
Yeah, on Inside NFL HBO show.
Yes?
Nick Bonaconi tried to hit Shula right between the eyes with a good question.
Yeah. Oh, that's a first?
Yeah, but Shula dodged it artfully.
He'll never talk to him again, I guarantee you that.
Well, he kind of asked him, he said, hey, Coach, the team seems to be in disarray.
Yeah.
They're screaming at each other. They're screaming at the coaches on the sideline. He says, why don't you just kick them in the ass like you used to do to us?
You're ready.
And Shula came back with something like, well, you know, I was as big or bigger than you guys back in those days.
We need some help.
Yeah. Now he's just a shriveled up old man who's seen Alan Kent. He doesn't have control, baby. They're out of control. The natives are running the asylum over there.
Yeah, you need physical intimidation to be able. Maybe he's just afraid Brian will spit in his face.
I think so, or worse than that.
Yeah,
he might sit on him.
Yeah, need a welder's mask.
He might sit on the old brainstem.
Yep.
Which, of course, we know that's where Brian's brains are anyway, if he's got any. So how did you like that performance here at the end of the game yesterday? Didn't that bring great credit to the Dolphin organization and the city of Miami and our entire NFL for all the little kids that were watching at 4 in the afternoon on a Sunday?
Well, he doesn't want to be a role model. That's why he visits the schools.
Right.
Spread the word.
Okay, thank you so much for whatever it is you were saying. Thank you, Terry, for whatever this is. Bounced in Buffalo, Miami Dolphins linebacker Brian Cox. Now, what is this from? Oh, it's from the Palm Beach Post. Spits at Buffalo fans Saturday as he is escorted to the locker room after being ejected from the game for fighting late in the fourth quarter. Below, a Buffalo fan uses a sign to send Cox a message of his own. The fan is holding up a sign that says, Brian Cox proudly wears his IQ on his chest. Brian Cox wears his IQ on his chest as in 51, huh? I think the guys give him a little bit too much credit.
Suck my dick.
As in about 48 points too much. Unbelievable. Here's Key Biscayne. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Neil?
Great.
Long time no talk to you.
All right.
I'm your buddy from Wausau up north.
Sure.
Well, we lost you on SUN, so I had to move down here to hear you.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you and me. I'm sorry I couldn't get to you before. I've been working.
Yeah.
I work at the U of M, so
you work at the U of M?
Yes, I do.
You work at the doing what?
I run a kitchen, one of the cafeterias.
Ooh, good.
Yeah,
I bet you they put a lot of good stuff for those football players in those special meals.
We take good care of them.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Listen, about your cigars, what are you smoking today?
I'm smoking Garcia Vega Galantes.
Okay, can I pass by and drop you off one? I got a nice Cuban for you.
I don't smoke, though. You can drop it off for George. I won't smoke it. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, no?
Is it one of those big gut wrenchers?
No.
Looks like a hippopotamus suppository?
A nice small one. Nice petite Cuban.
A nice petite Cuban sounds good to me. Yeah, drop by a nice petite Cuban. Sounds good. About 5'8".
Well, 5'6".
140 pounds.
5'6", about 150, all right?
No hair on the chest. Nice black hair. Good haircut.
Damn. I lost on that one. I got a hairy chest.
Circumcised, yeah. You're out.
Hey, Neil, can I suck up for one of your tapes?
Sure. Which one?
Whichever one you choose, just send it on.
Well, Me So Horny is right on top.
Give me that one.
Huh?
Give me that one.
I'll give it to you.
All
In
right.
fact, if you come in, we'll swap it with a cigar. It's the Larry King story.
Me So Horny.
Yep.
I'll do that on my way home.
Okay.
I live right down the street from you.
After you get this, you probably will do it on the way home. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Line 3, he's so horny, baby. Okay, give him this beautiful thing. Look at those pictures there on the front. Look at that. Oh, my God. She's having breakfast. She's having lunch. She's having dinner. She's having desserts. And this guy, I can't think of what this one... How come most of the guys, except for Peter North and one or two other guys, most of the guys in adult videos are also ugly? Ugly. That's in those straight videos. Of course, in the fag videos, they're not going to put up with too many ugly guys, okay? Once in a great while, they'll put in like a token ugly guy in a fag video just to prove that there are some ugly fags. Oh, speaking of that, look, there's George Michael on Latin MTV. So anyway, don't forget the Vegas trip. Get on the horn with the Rocky, 445-7740. And Center 1, we're like almost 90 grand. You almost get the feeling we might be doing it. Almost. Almost.
Not the way things ought to be. The way things are. 610 WIOD, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. News, talk, and entertainment radio. 610 WIOD.